Coming up on this episode of Poker Jesus.
It's not often we get it in with the worst of it, but here we are with only 42% equity. Hello, I'm Anthony, and welcome to episode 16 of my vlog. As you noticed, we have a new opening. I found some features in my editing software that I hadn't seen before, and so we have a new opening title, and we're going to have a new ending as well, so check those out. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I want to mention a few viewers from the past vlog who left comments. Stanley Cook mentioned that the hands I display don't seem to be in sequential order as far as representing a session with results and so forth. And that's by design. I try to pick hands that I think might be interesting to discuss strategy and different decision points and so forth. And just kind of give you the flow of different hands that I choose to play and how the bending goes and so forth. I may in the future have some videos where I have, a session and my results. I did do that a little while ago where I lost $5,000 lighting some money on fire. So that was an episode where I showed my session results there. Don Lee mentioned back in 2000 he visited Baton Rouge in Louisiana, and they gambled at everything, and he said the people were nice, the area was not expensive, and Louisiana is definitely on our list of 12 different states that we're looking at to relocate. We just had our open house this past weekend. We did receive an offer, we countered, and they did like it, so we are working on getting that contract signed, and with any luck, keeping the fingers crossed, we will be closing in the middle of July, and then we'll have a couple of months after that to find some place where we want to settle down and purchase our new home. So it's pretty exciting. This episode we're going to be playing 3-6 and 5-10 PLO. Let's jump right into some hands. Playing 5-10, we're four-handed and under the gun holding ace, queen, jack 5 with 3 diamonds to our ace. With connectivity, high card strength, and a nut suit in a short-handed situation, this is definitely a candidate for a raise, and we make it 35 to go with a stack just north of 3,500. The button folds, the small blind on a shorter stack of around 500 calls, and the big blind gets out of the way. Heads up to a flop of queen, jack, deuce with 1 diamond and 2 hearts. Our opponent in the small blind leads out for the full pot size bet of $80. We have top 2 pair, backdoor diamonds, and backdoor wheel and Broadway draws, but we don't block the heart draw. Given our opponent's smaller stack size, we decide if he likes his hand, he'll need to play for all of it, and we repot to 320. I'd say surprisingly, but at this point after multiple months of videos, it doesn't really surprise me anymore. Our opponent just calls, creating a pot of $720 and leaving himself $178 behind. The turn is good for us following the 4 of clubs. We now have the gutshot wheel draw in addition to top 2 pair, and we dodge the most likely concern of a heart falling. Our opponent puts his $178 in, and we make the easy call. He shows down the king-queen 9-3 suited in hearts to his queen. Pre-flop, he made an error in defending from the small blind with such a trashy hand, even short-handed. But on the flop, he narrows the gap in equities between our hands as we're a relative coin flip. On the turn, we are now 65% to win, though, when the last of the money goes in. The 6 of diamonds on the river is clean, and we're going to win this pot with over $1,000 in it. 5-handed playing 3-6, there is a few limpers, and in the big blind holding queen 8-6 deuce suited in hearts to our queen, we have no option but to check and pray for a good flop. 3-handed, we see a flop of queen 5 deuce with 2 diamonds and 1 spade. We flop top and bottom pair with a flush blocker and 1 card that might make up potential straight draws on this flop. Normally speaking, you don't want to get excited or crazy with top and bottom pair. Usually these hands will cost you a lot of money, especially playing out of position. But every situation needs to be analyzed independently, as they all have their nuances. In this spot, we're up against 2 short stacks, one with 300 and one with 150 remaining. In addition, aside from the diamond draw, this flop favors our range in the blinds for 2 pairs, sets, and straight draws over the limpers. So we lead right out for the full pot of $21. 1 limper calls, and then the shortest stacked one raises to 105. I'm fine going to war here against 2 short stacks, and I make it 357. We get it in heads up with a little dead money, and we're up against our opponent who holds ace-10, 7-6 with nut diamonds. We're in decent shape with almost 64% equity when the chips go in, and the run-up comes the 10 of clubs and the 5 of clubs, allowing us to scoop another one. We're 8-handed playing 5-10, under the gun sitting on a shorter stack of a little more than 600, pots it to $35. 3 players, including the cutoff and button, come along. We're in the small blind with the King 7 6 deuce suited in diamonds and clubs. We have a solid stack of $3,500, but we're going to be in the absolute worst position post-flop, multi-way, against other significant stacks, including a player with almost 3,000, and if the big blind comes along, 2 players with over 7,000. This hand is trash. It requires such a specific flop to continue playing, and it'll make a lot of second-best hands. I shouldn't be calling $5 to complete the small blind, let alone calling a raise out of position deep stacked. I wish I could tell you what I was thinking in the moment, but clearly I wasn't thinking in the moment, and fortunately this hand is from the beginning of April, so hopefully I won't be continuing this trend in future videos. Anyway, like a fucking doofus, I call the $35 raise. Donkey! The big blind folds, and we go 5 ways to a flop of King 9 6 rainbow. We flop top and bottom pair, plus a backdoor straight draw and 2 backdoor flush draws. We check, and the short stack, who raised under the gun, bets the full pot of $185. Fortunately, everyone folds, and now we have an easy decision to rip it in. I don't buy for a second that this flop helped an under the gun raiser all that much, unless he shows up with pocket kings, which we block, or a solid middle rundown like 10-9-8-7, which we also block. So with the bigger stacks out of the picture and only needing to beat the short stack, I figure my hand is a favorite enough of the time over whatever he raised with. I'm willing to get it in. There's also a decent amount of dead money in the pot now as well. We pop it to $740, and he calls it off and shows down the 9-8-8-7 with 3 diamonds. Well, shit, that's pretty close to a worst case scenario. It's not often we get it in with the worst of it, but here we are with only 42% equity, which the dead money doesn't make up for. And this is the problem when you play low quality hands like I did. You get low quality results. Still, we aren't dead yet. My opponents manage to squeak out victories against me all the time when I'm a favorite. Let's see if I can return the favor. Wait, what's that sound? Is that the sound of Poker Jesus smiling down upon me, his faithful servant? The turn is an amazing one, the 6 of hearts, filling us up and leaving our opponent drawing very slim, as he needs to hit one of 2 remaining 8s, and he only has 5% equity now. And the river comes. Oh no! Ay Dios mío! It wasn't Poker Jesus helping us. It was...
Could it be... Satan?
And now a word from our sponsor.
And now it's time for everyone's favorite game show, Hot or Poker Hot! I remember the good old days when you could judge someone based solely on their appearance. But to avoid being canceled for misogyny, we'll also include poker dudes in this ranking. No homo. Up first is Liv Bory. With close to $4 million in tournament earnings and a face and body that just don't quit, Liv is like poker's version of Kate Beckinsale, and easily earns a hot rating. And if you disagree, you should stop watching this video right now, because you're fucking wrong. With over $38 million in live earnings and a physique that would make ancient Greek statues jealous, Jason Kuhn is also going to earn a hot rating. No homo. Sporting over $3.5 million in live earnings, we haven't seen an update to her Hendon mob since 2017. In addition, take her away from a table full of fat, slobby male bozos, and she's just an okay-looking girl with a decent body. And for that reason, Vanessa Russo is going to earn a poker hot rating. Always wearing sleeveless shirts, and sometimes sporting moderately cut muscles, Doug Polk is known for being the TMZ of the poker world, often driving drama-fueled videos for clicks. He has almost $10 million in live earnings, and that's before you factor in the money he's made with his media channels, investments, and online heads-up no-limit cash game results. Still, he can come off as pretty narcissistic and cold in many instances, but has a solid sense of humor. This one's going to be a toss-up for me, and I'll leave it to the viewers to cast their votes on this one. Well known in the poker world, Maria Ho has served in commentating roles and has over $4 million in live earnings. However, despite having the trifecta of being Asian, female, and having Ho in her name, we're going to have to give her the poker hot rating due to some bad plastic surgery choices. Over $9 million in live earnings and an impressive physique with MMA skills, Olivier Bousquet should seem like a shoo-in to earn our hot rating. Unfortunately, his need to tout his political beliefs on televised poker broadcasts reminds us of the yahoos who cover their cars with bumper stickers, trying to find an echo chamber to reinforce whatever belief system they have. No one's mind was ever changed because they read your political or religious beliefs on a t-shirt or bumper sticker. So stop being a douchebag and keep politics out of our poker broadcasts. You get the Poker Hot Rating. Best known for her mostly B-list movie roles, Jennifer Tilly loves to play poker and has been a regular fixture on numerous live stream tournaments and cash games. Nevertheless, her best years are behind her, although if you have a fetish for grandmothers with fake breasts, she'll likely tick the boxes for you. Unfortunately, we have to give her a Poker Hot Rating. My God. With or without hair, this Finnish poker pro with almost $13 million in live earnings doesn't seem to age and has kept himself in consistently amazing shape. His strong, silent image only intensifies the mystery and attraction that is Patrick Antonius. A lot of dudes would likely consider batting for the other team if offered the opportunity, and we're going to give Patrick our hot rating. That's going to wrap up our hot or poker hot feature. If you were offended, you should probably check your privilege, because I don't fucking care. 8-handed playing 5-10, the pot has been straddled to $20 by the under-the-gun player. We're first to act and look down at the ace-ace, queen-jack, suited in diamonds to our ace. With a stack over 3,000 and multiple opponents similarly deep-stacked, we decide to limp in and keep our hand strength disguised for the time being. If we're lucky and there are multiple raises as goes around, we may have an opportunity to back raise. If not, we'll at least avoid bloating a pot out of position deep-stacked and telegraphing our hand. Surprisingly, it folds all the way around to the straddler, who makes it $75. If we re-raise here, we run the risk of giving away at least half our hand to our opponent, which will make it easier for him to bluff us out on certain flops. So we opt to just call. This will keep our range wider, and we still have the positional advantage. We see a fairly safe flop of 7 deuce-deuce with 2 of our suit. Our opponent bets $123, and in this spot, we should be ahead the vast majority of the time, and we don't want to discourage our opponent from continuing to bluff, so we make the call. The turn is the 10 of spades, and once again our opponent bets, this time a heftier bet of 308. Even if he's turned 2 pair of 10s and 7s, he's still behind us as we have aces and deuces. And on this flop, if our opponent is bluffing, we don't want to discourage him. And if he somehow outdrew us on the flop or turn, we don't want to value own ourselves. Yes, there is a risk that we let him see a free river card, and that completes a backdoor straight or flush draw, and that would suck. But I still think a call is right here. We keep his bluffs in, and we control our exposure the times we run into some weird cooler. The river is the queen of clubs, and now our opponent slows down and checks. There's over $1,000 in the pot. His effective stack size is around $2,500, which we cover. The problem is, what can we get value from if we bet? What can he pay us off with? I don't see a ton of hands we beat calling a value bet here. And it would really suck to bet and get check raised and then either fold what was the winner or call and get shown a better hand. With solid showdown equity, we expect to win this pot the majority of the time, and I don't see much value in betting here, so we check it back. He reveals the ace-8-7-4, and we take this one down. We're 6-handed playing 3-6, and the hijack makes it $21. The cutoff and small blind both call, and in the big blind we look down at the ace-queen 5-3, double suited in hearts and diamonds to our ace and queen. This hand isn't amazing. The 5 and 3 will make us a lot of non-nut straights, but the connectivity, suitedness, and some high card strength make this playable when we can close the action multi-way. We go 4 ways to a flop of 10-9 deuce with 2 diamonds and 1 club. The small blind leads out for $84, and we make the call. All we have is the nut flush draw right now, plus backdoor straight potential. If there's significant action behind us, we'll have to fold. But hopefully our call will encourage other cold callers, perhaps with weaker flush draws, to stick around as well. The original raiser calls, and we go 3 ways to a turn, which comes the 4 of hearts. The small blind again steps on the gas, betting $336. We've turned additional equity, now having a wrap straight draw to go with our nut flush draw, so we can hit any ace, 3, 5, or 6, in addition to diamonds, and most likely we'll have the winner. Well, it sucks that there's only 1 card left to draw to it. We have enough equity to isolate the short stack, and we make it $1,344 to go. If the original raiser decides to shove, we can't get away now. He folds, the small blind shows down the king-king, queen-jack, with 3 spades and no diamonds. We're in an honest-to-goodness actual 50-50 coin flip in this spot. Our opponent is technically ahead with his overpair, and he also enjoys a straight draw, and we agree to run it twice, and it looks like El Diablo is smiling up at us as we catch the jack of diamonds on the first run out and the queen of diamonds on the second run out to scoop the whole pot. We're six-handed playing 3-6, and after under the gun limps, it folds to us on the button holding ace-10, 8-5 suited in spades to our ace. While shorthanded, our hand could be raised to take control of the pot and enjoy position over our opponent. I still generally prefer keeping pots small and multi-way preflop in most instances, especially when this limper is the only one at the table with a stack capable of doing significant damage to my own. We come along and the short stack and the big blind makes it 18 to go. We both call and go three ways to a flop of king 5-3 with 2 clubs and 1 spade. It checks all the way around. The turn is the 10 of hearts, and now the short stack leads out for 57. The under the gun player calls, and having turned 2 pair, we opt to re-raise to 234 to isolate our opponent with some dead money. It's doubtful the short stack is all that strong, given that if he had flopped the king, he likely would have continued betting the flop. So I don't think he's ahead here. He could have queen jack and maybe turn to straight draw, but that's about the best I'd expect to run into. Likewise, our big stacked opponent under the gun likely would have taken a similar approach on the flop if he had flopped top pair, so I'm pretty confident my 2 pair is ahead here. But there are obviously a lot of bad river cards, and I'm going to make them pay to outdraw me. Surprisingly, the short stack, having put in almost all of their stack, folds. But my deeper stacked opponent makes the call. This isn't ideal, but at least we have position on him going to the river, which falls the 8 of spades. He checks, and again it's a similar situation as before. I don't see what worse hands I can get value from, and I check it back. He shows down the queen 5-4 deuce suited in diamonds to his queen. So he limped under the gun with this rubbish, then he called a raise with it, and then he flopped middle pair with an open-ended straight draw on a flush draw flop, and he called a bet and my big raise trying to get lucky. Fortunately for us, he didn't, and we'll take this one down. 5-handed playing 3-6, we're under the gun with ace-king, 5-4 suited in diamonds to our ace. We call, and the button makes it $18 to go. Both blinds fold, and we make the call, going heads up out of position to a flop of ace-ace-queen rainbow. We check, and our opponent checks it back. The turn is the 9 of diamonds, giving us a flush draw to go with our top trips, top kicker. Once again, we check, and we get our opponent to take a stab of $22, which we call. The river is the jack of spades, and while we haven't filled up, we still expect to have the best hand most of the time against this doofus. We extend the rope for our opponent to hang himself, and he bets the full pot of $89, which we happily call. He shows queen 6-6-4, suited in clubs to his queen. And we're going to win another one. Thanks for tuning in. That's going to wrap up episode number 16. We'll see you in the next one.
You know, after watching a video like this, sometimes I'll like it, sometimes I'll leave a comment, and sometimes I'll subscribe. Sometimes I'll even do all 3.